When Bad Batch revealed it would be bringing back Asajj Ventress, a lot of people were skeptical, including myself. You see, back in 2013, before Clone Wars was cancelled, there were plans to make an 8-part story involving Ventress trying to kill Count Dooku, and it ended with the death of Ventress. However, Clone Wars was cancelled, and this story never got to see the light of day. It was adapted into a book a few years later, meaning the death of Ventress still happened. So reasonably, people were annoyed that the book was being disregarded, because Ventress should not be alive. I was partially annoyed too, since Star Wars has an issue with bringing characters back to life, and with Ventress it felt so final, like it wasn't a fake out, she actually died. There are also some clowns out there that are mad that Dave is purposefully ignoring the canon and being disrespectful to Christy Golden's work, and I'm over here like,
I think it'd be pretty epic if you never fucking said that again.
I mean, no ill will towards Christy Golden. She made a great adaptation of the Dark Disciple storyline. But do people not realize that this story was originally going to be told in Dave's TV show? It was originally his story, and Ventress is his character. I know the character originated in other stuff before Clone Wars, but this is what people associate Ventress with the most. It's what put her on the map. I find it incredibly unfair to say that Dave overstepped and undid this book when, for all intents and purposes, he's in the right to make this decision. Filoni has made some weird-ass choices and has definitely disrespected certain stories in the past via retcons, but here I see no issue with this decision. However, after watching the Bad Batch episode and rereading Dark Disciple, I came to a conclusion that I'm not sure is entirely true, but it's at least interesting to talk about. And that conclusion is that I don't think Ventress was supposed to die. Now hear me out. The Clone Wars was obviously cut short after Disney purchased Star Wars, meaning most of the characters weren't going to get a conclusion to their stories. Some of the characters were salvaged and able to continue their arcs through Star Wars Rebels, which was the only animated show in development at the time, and it was cool if you were Ahsoka or Darth Maul, but every other character was just kind of thrown to the wayside and expected to be forgotten about. I fully believe the original plan with Ahsoka was to continue her story into the original trilogy and have her confront Darth Vader, but the other characters I feel were only added because their stories weren't able to be continued anywhere else. I mean, look at Darth Maul. I honestly believe it was intended for him to die at the Siege of Mandalore. Him trying to warn Ahsoka of his master's grand plan, and Order 66 is what inevitably kills him after he tried to prevent it, would have felt like a perfect ending. I do like the direction they ended up traveling in with Darth Maul, but it feels like, to me, Rebels wasn't really meant to revolve around his story as much as it did. I mean, look at the other characters in Clone Wars. Cad Bane was supposed to get a big send-off with a Western duel against Boba Fett, but that wasn't finished, so we had to just accept that he died off-screen, and we aren't going to see him again because there's nowhere to put him. There were plans for Jesse and Cody, but only 3 clones were allowed to be in Rebels, so we just had to forget about all of the other ones. There were characters who did get some closure despite the show's cancellation. Aurra Sing was mentioned to have died off-screen in Solo, Kix was in a short story taking place in the sequel trilogy, but it's clear that this wasn't the original plan for some of these characters. I remember when Dark Disciple released, and a lot of people were upset with Ventress' death and how unnatural it was. She was killed by a blast of Force lightning, and it was off. It's very convenient, especially since no one has ever been killed by Force lightning like that. It's lethal, yeah, but usually it takes a while to kill someone with Force lightning. No one just dies to a single blast, let alone immediately like that. I mean, it would have made sense if it weren't originally intended for her to die like that and it was just thought up afterward. While I could be completely wrong, I honestly believe that the original intention for Dark Disciple was to either end with Ventress staying alive, or to have her actually be hit with Force lightning, but it would be open-ended and have the implication that she's still alive. However, after Clone Wars was cancelled and they were forced to end Ventress' story, it was decided to kill her off. If we can't use her anymore, we might as well just end it here. However, a few years later, Disney opens up their own streaming service, and now Star Wars has more freedom with their shows since they can just do whatever they want, like have their first ever live-action TV show, bring Obi-Wan Kenobi and Boba Fett back, make short stories about one-off Jedi. Why not complete Clone Wars? Why not look at the clones we happen to have missed out on? Why not bring back Cad Bane and have him rematch Boba Fett? The Western standoff was never completed, so let's just do it here. The Bad Batch felt like this opportunity that opened up for side characters to get their proper conclusions. So Ventress's resurrection didn't really feel like it was out of desperation. I felt like it was already the plan. The only issue I have is how the book portrayed her death as somewhat permanent, but since I always had the feeling that it wasn't the original intention, this is a rare case of a character resurrection that I'm completely fine with. Whatever the future holds for Ventress, I'm excited to see what the original plan was.